Hi there, everybody. My name is Richard McMunn from the career interview advisory company, howtobecome.com. And in this video presentation, I'm going to teach you the biggest interview mistakes the majority of people make. Now, if we turn that on its head, the actual presentation is going to help you pass. So at the end of it, you're not going to make any of these mistakes, I can assure you. So I've been helping people like you to pass interviews for the last 14 years. I've won a number of awards in the process. I am extremely passionate about helping people to pass their interviews. It's all free training, so please watch it from beginning to end. I'm going to give you 7 biggest interview mistakes. If you like the video and you like my training, please give it a thumbs up the video because that will help me to do more and motivate me. And I'm also going to give you a free interview training course at some stage during this video. So make sure you stay tuned. Okay, let's get straight into it. The biggest interview mistake number 1 is failing to predict the interview questions. It is very easy to work out what interview questions you're going to get asked for at your interview. It does not matter what kind of job you're being interviewed for, you can predict the interview questions, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that now. So what you need to do to predict the interview questions, first and foremost, get yourself a copy of the person specification or the job description for the job that you're being interviewed for. So let's assume that you're being interviewed for a customer care role or a customer services assistant role. Then you need to get a copy of this document. It's usually in the form of a Word document. You can usually find it on the job application website where you've found out about this job, or you can contact the employer and they will tell you, give you a copy of the document. Sometimes it's on their website in the form of a description. And then what you do is you use this document to predict the interview questions. So if I show you a sample job description, this is what one would look like. And on the left, you would see like the category. It would say job-related skills and knowledge. And it usually gives you the essential criteria. Now, the essential criteria is absolutely crucial to being able to do the job. And it's usually relatively simple things. For example, it says here, able to deliver high levels of customer care. That is a guaranteed interview question. So you have a look at that document and then you work out what the question will be. Well, that question, the interview question will be, can you give me an example of when you have delivered high levels of customer care? Or it could be, can you tell us the experience that you have previously of working in a customer care environment? Another one from the same document, working knowledge of Microsoft Office to intermediate level. So the question could be, do you have any experience of working with Microsoft applications such as Word or PowerPoint? Another one, working through the document. So it says there, makes a positive contribution to teams. So therefore, a guaranteed question. It's guaranteed because this is an essential job requirement. When have you worked as part of a team to complete a difficult task, or how did you contribute to the team? Now, I've been helping many hundreds of people to pass their interviews, and when I coach them, this is one of the very first things I do is I go, let's get a copy of the job description for the role that you're being interviewed for, and let's work out what the questions are going to be. Now, these kind of questions are called situational questions. You will also get asked motivational ones, such as, tell me about yourself, why do you want this job, what have you learned about the role? And I'm going to give you the answers to these kind of questions as well if you stick with the video. Okay, interview mistake number 2 is failing to carry out sufficient research of the company that you're being interviewed for. So obviously you know the job that you're being applied for, but what about the company that you're being interviewed for? I sat on interview panels, and one of the first questions is I'll say to somebody, tell me about my company, tell me what we do. And some people haven't got a clue because they've not carried out enough research. Now, don't get me wrong, you do not have to spend hours and hours researching the company that you're applying for. However, please make sure you research the 6 Ps. And the 6 Ps are the products and services that the company offers. So you could go on their website, or you could have a look at any accompanying literature to see the different kind of products and services that they sell or they provide. And even if it's just a broad brush of the different things that they're selling and the different services, so long as you've got a knowledge, you can say, well, you've been going for X number of years, these are the products that you sell. I assume that these are the most popular ones because I see them advertised all the time, that kind of thing. The next P, have a look on their website for positive news stories. Okay, so you can talk about positive things. Don't talk about anything negative that's happened to them, but talk about positive news stories. So when they say, tell us about our company, you go into the products, the services. Oh, and I noticed recently on your website that this has happened. You've, been awarded Investors in People or something like that. That's a positive thing, and they will be impressed that you've carried out your research. The next P, past history and key landmarks or land achievements, such as if you go on the About Us page, it should tell you about the company that you're applying for, about how they perhaps started out, and they would be impressed with that if you have a look at the past history of the company. The next one, some of the key people who form part of the senior management team. So you can just say, I know that Mr. or Mrs. X, Y, and Z is the managing director or the CEO, the chief executive officer, and the head of operations is this person. And again, it just demonstrates that you've done a bit of research and found out about them. Next one, places they operate from. Whereabouts do they operate? Where's their headquarters? Where's their main head office? And finally, any proud achievements such as awards or recognition they've received for good work. And if you follow that, that's all you need to do on the research part is those 6 Ps. So you can write them down and work out and answer those questions, and you won't go wrong when they say, tell us about our company. Okay, interview mistake number 3, a big one, is failing to make a positive first impression. So what I mean by that is when you go along to the location of the interview, you walk into the building, sit down in the reception area, sit upright, be smart, smile and be polite to the reception staff if there are any there. And then when you walk into the interview room, the first and foremost thing to do is a firm handshake. It says a lot about you. Okay, and look the person in the eye. You're not staring them out, but look them in the eye, a firm handshake, and say, hello, I'm here for the interview, pleased to meet you. Next thing, don't sit down in the interview chair until invited to do so, and work on your interview technique. Okay, I'm going to teach you a load more about this in a second, about interview technique, but sit upright in the chair, make sure you dress smart. These are all very basic things, but they are really, really important because you have about 8 seconds to create a positive first impression. Now, when I'm interviewing somebody and they walk into the room, I pretty much know quickly whether I'm interested in employing them or not. And before somebody's even said something, I can make my mind up. Okay, I can make my mind up. It's natural, normal human behavior for people to do that. So if someone walks in and they're either rude or they're not polite, positive, or have a firm handshake, I'm less likely to take them on. Okay, next interview mistake, number 4, is all about consistent eye contact. So when you're being interviewed, and let's say, for example, this chap here is being interviewed by these 4 people. Now, of course, it's unlikely that you're going to be interviewed by 4 people, but even if you're interviewed by 2, 3, or even 5, consistent eye contact is really important. So let's assume that one of the persons asked the interview question. It's this chap here on the left. He asked the interview question. So when you respond, when you're answering the question, you look at him first of all, and you maintain positive eye contact. So you look at him with soft eye contact. And then when you are responding, you look at the other members of the panel as well. You involve all of them when you are giving that same response to the question that the gentleman on the left has asked. You involve all of them. Involve all of the panel. That is really, really good, positive interview technique to use. So consistent eye contact is really important. The only way you do that is by practicing. And I'm going to talk about mock interviews in a second. Okay, interview mistake number 5 is poor interview question response structure. Now, there is a chance that you're going to get asked 2 kind of interview questions. The first one will be sort of motivational ones. Why do you want this job? Tell us about yourself. What do you do in your spare time? And you might get asked other questions that are situational. So give us an example of when you've worked as part of a team. Give us an example of when you've carried out effective communication. Tell us when you've worked under pressure. Tell us when you've had to be flexible in a working situation. So when responding to those kind of questions, make sure you use this structure. Situation. So explain what the situation was. You're basically setting the scene. Then tell them what the task was. So describe the purpose. What did you have to do during the particular situation? Well, the situation was that I was on the telephone for a company and we received a complaint from an angry customer, and it was my job to calm them down and to resolve the complaint for them. So I've just described the situation and what my task was. Then you explain what action you took. So explain what you did and what other people did, and then finish off with the result. Tell them what the outcome was based on your actions. And that's called the STAR technique. And again, I'm going to give you more information in a second how you can really drill this down. It's a great way to structure your responses. Okay, interview mistake number 6. Answering the first interview question incorrectly. So it's everybody's worst nightmare. You go into the interview room, you have a positive first impression, you sit down and you're worrying about the first question. Well, the first question is more than likely to be, tell us about yourself. Okay, so when responding to this question, here's some tips. Concentrate on telling the interview panel about work-related skills as opposed to your home life, because to be truthful, they're not interested in your home life. They want to know about work-related skills. Don't forget, you will have already done this. You download a copy of the person specification for the job you're applying for and focus on telling them how your skills and attributes match the document. And this is all in the interview question, tell me about yourself. This is really important, guys. Use power words in your response, such as, I'm a motivated person, I'm enthusiastic, loyal, flexible, committed, honest, hardworking, adaptable, etc. These will resonate positively with the interview panel. And of course, they could say to you, okay, well, you've said to us that you're a flexible person. Can you give an example or prove that you've done that in the past? But use those power words. Remember, you are trying to sell yourself. Okay, you're not selling a product or a service, but you are selling yourself, and you should use positive power words in your response. So let's have a look at a sample response to tell me about yourself. Okay, first and foremost, I'm a hardworking, loyal and enthusiastic person. I understand how important work is to my overall happiness. I take my work very seriously, and I'm always looking to improve my skills and qualifications so I can work to the highest standards possible in my role. I genuinely believe there are 2 types of employee. The first is someone who turns up to work and does their job so they can just pay the bills. And the second is someone who puts their all into their job. They are totally committed and they do all they can to help their employee achieve their goals. I am the second kind of employee, and I believe my previous track record and strong appraisals demonstrate that. I have excellent communication skills and fully understand how important it is to deliver fantastic customer care, and after all, without the customer, there would be no business and I would not have a job. I also have very good organisational skills, and I always plan my week's work in advance to make sure I perform to a high standard. I've studied the person spec for this job that I'm being interviewed for today, and I strongly believe I can perform the role to a high standard, and I'd very much appreciate the opportunity to work for your company. Of course, if I am successful today, I can assure you that I will bring a great deal of experience, loyalty and positive qualities to your team. So that's just a sample response which you can use, and I'll tell you where you can get a copy of this to save you having to write it out in a second. But if you structure that around your own skills, qualities and attributes, that's a fantastic response, and it gets you off to the right start at the beginning of your interview. Okay, interview mistake number 7 is going along to the interview without having carried out a mock interview. Okay, now some of you might know somebody who can interview you before you go along and ask you the questions, and then you might say to me, well, what are the questions? Well, this is what I would like you to do. If you click the link but below the video now, I've created a 50 module free online training course. It's my ultimate online interview training course. It'll go take you through to this website, and this is my website here. If you click this link, you can get free access to this course, and then you'll go through to the online course page, and on the left I've got all of these modules. There are 59 modules for you to work through. Now, of course, you don't have to go through all of them if you don't want to, but I have literally created, there's me.
Hi there, and welcome to your online.
So I've got an online interview course. If you look on the left, I've got all of these interview questions. How was your journey today? Tell me about yourself. Are you self-motivated? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And what I've also done within this interview module, I've gone through the question, given you a sample response, and here it is here to this one. You can download it. So all you do is download this. So you can download it there with that button, and then you can work on these. I have covered virtually every interview question you could get asked. And there is also a mock interview in there. So you can see that module 51 is a mock interview. So if you, like I say, if you click the link below the video, or you go to the website passmyinterview.com, it will take you through to that page where you can get free access to that. It's all free of charge. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed the video. There is also another link below to another video I've done on interview questions and answers, but if I were you, I'd get access to this course. Please, like I say, I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well below the video. You can even connect with me on LinkedIn if you want in the link below, or look me up on Facebook. Guys, I wish you all the very best in your pursuit to passing your interview. I've been Richard McMunn, and thank you very much for watching.